All right, guys. Figured I'd do a little rundown of the new Denon GUI on the X3800H. So let's just run through it real quick here. Start at the top here. As you can see, it's new high res. The old one didn't really bother me that much, but this looks nicer. So we'll just start at the top here at audio. Go in audio here. You got your subwoofer level adjustment, bass sync, surround parameters, restore volume, Odyssey, graphic EQ. You can see I haven't ran Odyssey yet, so that stuff's all great out there. On the video side, got HDMI set up. So if we go in here, we can change how the audio is going out. Got pass through, the pass through source. Really, a lot of the stuff that's always been in here. It just looks a little bit prettier. Output settings, same thing here. Got upscaler. Video mode is auto. HDMI. Got monitor 1, auto, monitor 2. I'm just going to do monitor 1 because I don't really use the other outputs currently. Video mode set to auto. Choices, you got game, movie, bypass. And it gives you, I like how it gives you the little description on the bottom of the screen there. Bypass removes all video processing from the HDMI video path. Note, in this mode, the AVR cannot display on-screen graphics such as the volume bar. So I don't really want that, so I'm going to leave it on auto. HDMI upscaler, auto, upscale 1080p and 4K to 8K, 8K disabled. I'm just going to leave that on auto. And it blacked the screen out on me. Okay. It does that for some settings when you back out to actually engage the setting you just picked. It blacks out the screen. No different than last year's model. Let's go back out here. Blacks out again. Same thing. Output settings. Let's see, on-screen display. Got your bottom. So you can choose where the volume is. So I usually just keep it on the bottom. Info enables the on-screen display overlays when changing source modes and inputs. I just kind of leave that on. Now playing, select when and how long to show the on-screen display. What is that? So on-screen display for HEOS music and tuner sources. So I don't really use HEOS music or tuner sources. So I kind of just leave that alone. Screensaver. Let's see. Turns screensaver off. Turns on the screensaver when there is no activity or video signal for more than 5 minutes. Leave that on, I guess. Can't hurt. 4K, 8K signal format. Now this could be an important one to go to. Last year's model, these were all not set to enhance, which caused a lot of problems, especially with 4K content. So luckily now these are all enhanced by default, so that's nice. I don't really know of a reason why you would not want them enhanced. So anybody knows, leave in the comments. I've always wondered why you would not want it enhanced. HDCP setup. Let's go in here. Everything's set to automatic. So you can choose the version of HDCP. I guess you'd have that. Maybe mess around with that if you're having issues with different components. Just leave it on auto. And you got TV format, NTSC. That's what we use here in the United States, so just leave it there. What other options you got? Yeah, PAL, NTSC. So PAL is for friends overseas there. But here in the US, it's NTSC. Just leave that as is. Back out of there, that's all it is for the video. Let's go over to inputs. We got input assign. Go in here. So here you can choose for each input, you can set what type of what input on the back of the receiver you are using for that input setting. So let me go back in here. You can see down here, I keep going, Rune, where it says Rune, this used to be CD, and I think it was set to auto or somewhere in here, but I use an endpoint that has a coax output, digital coax output, and I put that into the coax 1 input, and then I renamed the input as Rune. That's why you see that there. And of course, you can go in here and you can rename all your sources just like I did. I changed CD to Rune. I'll eventually go in here and change it to Windows PC, NVIDIA Shield. I've got a couple other things that I'll change these inputs to. So basically, you can just go in here, say you're using the Blu-ray, but you don't want to say Blu-ray. You want to say Panasonic BD820 or whatever you're using. So you can go in here and you can just clear it all out, and you can just name it whatever you want, which is nice. Cancel input, yes. Cancel that. Go back out here. Hide sources. This is nice, especially if you're the type of person that kind of uses the dial on the front of the AVR to change sources. This is nice to do, so you can skip over them. You don't have to run through every source that you don't have anything hooked up to. Source level. I don't really use this. Adjust the input level for the current sources. So input level. So I guess you could, if you have something that maybe the gain's really low on, your volume's low on, that you can adjust it here. Hop back out of there. So that's it for inputs. So let's go over down to speakers. Of course, we have Odyssey setup. I haven't gone through that yet. It's pretty much the same for all Denon models. Manual setup. This is where I'm in here an awful lot. So this is one of the most important menus in here. So let's start with amp-assign. Go in here. Okay, so what do we got here? Assign mode. So you got 7-channel plus zone 2. You got 7-channel and bi-amp. So you could take some of your rear channels and bi-amp the front and left, it looks like. Let's see, assign 7 amps to the main zone for surround sound and 2 amps to the front. Yeah, so you can use 4 amp channels altogether to bi-amp your fronts if you wanted to do that. 5-channel bi-amp and zone 2. 7-channel plus front B. So let's see here. You've got 7 amps to the main zone for surround sound and 2 amps to the front B stereo speakers. It's interesting. So I guess if you had 2 sets of speakers up front, you can use that. Preamplifier. So this turns off all the internal amps in the AVR, and so you just use this as a preamp. The reason you'd want to do that is, especially if you have external amps that may take a little bit more input signal to reach full power than your excuse me, your internal amps need. So what would happen is, if you needed a good amount of voltage out of your preamps to get your external amps to full power, you could end up actually clipping the internal amplifiers and causing distortion. So if you put it in preamplifier mode, you disconnect all the internal amplifiers, and you've got really good voltage. I think up to is it 4 volts on the outputs on here, so you won't have any problem. You put this in preamplifier mode, you won't have any problem driving any amplifier into clipping. And of course, you've got 11-channel, so that uses all 9 internal amps, and you'll need an external amp for 2 channels. And then you've got 9-channel, assigns all 9 internal amps for zone and surround speakers. So if you're using just the amplifiers in this AVR, that's what you'd set it to. All right, so back out of there. Next menu, speaker configuration. It's looks pretty self-explanatory here for the most part. So front, you can set all these to large or small. Subwoofers you can set to 1, 2, 3, or 4 subs. Okay, and it kind of gives you an idea of where you'd want to put them. As if you got 3 subs, you want kind of 2 up front and 1 somewhere in the back somewhere to kind of balance it out. 4, you generally put them in the 4 corners of the room. 2, it says up front. It depends on the room. This all depends on how your room interacts with the subs, but this is some general guidance here. I'm going to leave it on 2 because I have 2 right now. Subwoofer mode, we got standard, and we have this new mode called directional. This is something to where it's going to direct bass. It's going to split your setup into 4 quadrants, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D quadrant, and it's going to send the bass to the subwoofer. Whatever quadrant the speaker is for that sound, it's going to send the bass for that speaker to that subwoofer that shares the same quadrant as that speaker. So that's kind of cool. I'll play around with that. And of course, standard is just your normal, what you're used to. All 4 subs get the same signal, and all the sound, the low bass from any speaker is directed to all the subs. We have surrounds. Set those large, small. Pretty much standard affair there. Back out of here. Oh, I gotta push, get back out of there. Now it'll let me back out. Okay. Distances, that's pretty self-explanatory. You can go in here and you can set the distance in feet or meters. Pretty standard. Usually Odyssey or most of your auto EQ is going to set your distance for you. Levels, of course, you can go in here and do your test tones. You can set levels for your different speakers. Crossovers, I don't have any that's grayed out, but you can go in there and set individual crossovers per speaker, and I believe you can set a universal crossover if you want to. Bass, let's go into the bass here. So subwoofer output, you can do LFE, which is what usually people put in here. You can do LFE plus main. So what this means is it sends the bass, the LFE channel to the subs as normal, but it's also sending the LFE information to your left and right speakers also. So if you're going to use that, you probably want to have pretty beefy main speakers. And then low pass filter for LFE. So what this is it's basically exactly what it is. It's a low pass filter for the LFE channel. So normally this is set at 120 hertz, so it starts to roll off the bass at 120 hertz. Really try this out a little bit. And usually people leave it at 120 hertz because that's the maximum of what information is usually in the LFE channel. But people seem to think that this is like a hard wall here at 120 hertz. It's really not. It rolls off, and it rolls off pretty shallow. So you can I've even played around with setting an 80 hertz low pass filter for the LFE here, and it just play around with it. Try different settings out and see which ones you like. You're not losing the information up to 120 hertz if you set it to 80. It's rolled off. It's lower, but it's not gone. All right. Let's see. Front speaker selects the front speaker configuration. Can only be set with the amp assigned set to front B. Okay, so this must be. I have to play around with this. I'm not familiar with this setting. Speaker connection. So the fronts. Here's the options. You got speaker and pre-out. Speaker and pre-out outputs are both active. Front, you can do pre-out only. Speaker outputs are disconnected for enhanced audio quality using only the pre-out terminals. That's cool. So that's pretty much it. So if you're running an amplifier for your fronts, I would assume you'd want pre-out only. Back out of there. Tactile transducer setup. So this is a setting that kind of took me by surprise. When I heard of what was going to be included with the 3800, I was most excited for the 4 subwoofer outputs. So I didn't even, I always wanted to have a dedicated transducer output, but I never really thought it would happen because I thought it was too much of a niche thing for Denon or anybody to incorporate into their AVRs. So I got this. I'm like, great, I'm going to run 4 subwoofers. That's great. Didn't expect that. And then they throw this tactile transducer setup in here. But the kicker is, or I'm sorry, the catch to it is, it's the subwoofer 4 output. So if you're using the tactile transducer output, you're limited to 3 subwoofers. So that throws a wrench in my plans here a little bit. So now I'm not automatically going to go to 4. I probably will still do 4 subwoofers, but I also have the option to do a transducer output. So that's cool. Let's go in here and let's check it out here. So basically you can go in here, it's disabled by default. If you have in your speaker's manual setup, if you have 3 or less subwoofers enabled, it will allow you to enable this. And that gives you a level adjustment just for the transducers. And it gives you a low pass filter for the transducers. So it stops at 40 hertz. I kind of wish it went a little bit lower, but I've found that most amplifiers that are for transducers, they start at 40 hertz. They only go down to 40 hertz as well. So that's not that shocking. And then speaker presets. So this is another cool surprise here. You've got multiple presets on the 3800. If I'm not mistaken, you had to step up to the 4700 in order to get multiple speaker presets. That was a bonus of going up to the 4000 model, is you get multiple presets. So what you can do here, what I do is you could do an Odyssey setup with grills off as for one speaker preset 1, and maybe do grills on for speaker 2, or maybe I seal up my towers for preset 1 and I have them running full range on 2. This will give you actually a total of 4 different presets, because you've got these complete presets and then you've got your 2 different Odysseys. You've got your reference and your flat. So this actually allows you to get 4 different speaker setup presets in here, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's go back out of here. Network, that's pretty normal stuff there. Got your information connection. I got a wired connection now. Network control. We got here for network control, always on. Friendly name, diagnostics, AirPlay, settings for AirPlay. We got here AirPlay name. AirPlay is on. I haven't really messed around with AirPlay yet. Spotify Connect. Is this new? I'm not sure if this is new or not, but that's on, so that's cool. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, that's always been there. HEOS Connect. I have a HEOS account. The app's super clunky. I just don't use it, unfortunately. So I'm not going to play around with that. And I have Rune also, so that I don't really need HEOS. Generally, go in here, you got your language, owner's manual. That's cool. You scan the QR code and download the owner's manual. That's nice. Eco mode. Let's talk about eco mode. This, I have it set off already. I believe the default is auto, but I don't really see a reason to use this. Maybe in preamp mode, I'm gonna do a little research. That if you have this in preamp mode, maybe I can understand using eco mode. But other than that, this will limit the power going to your amplifiers. It's supposed to be dynamic. It's supposed to add the power back when you need it, but I don't really see the point of leaving it on if you're using internal amplifiers. So I would leave it off. On screen display, off. I don't know. I hate seeing that green leaf on there. So I turn that stuff off. Bluetooth transmitter, I have it turned off. I'm not using it right now. Zone 2 setup. You can go in here and adjust different levels and whatnot for your zone 2. That's pretty cool. A lot of configurability there. Zone rename, so you can change the name of the zone. Quick select names. So you can change. I might play around with this. I haven't really gone in and messed with this. I can't remember if this was on the last year's model or not. Of course, you got your trigger outputs for external amplifiers, maybe a retractable screen or whatever. Those are all on. Front display, bright. Bright is pretty bright. So I kind of set mine to dim. Firmware, of course. We've got, let's see, is auto update on? Auto update is on. Allow update. So it has got an auto update and allow update. That's on. And then check for updates. Hey, we're all up to date. That's cool. And then your information, audio information. So that you can set what information shows up on the screen. So that's nice. Video shows information about the video output. That's nice. Set all that. What zone, what firmware. notifications, usage data. I always say no. Save and load. Used to save and recall the unit settings to a USB card. You can lock the settings. You don't want kids or whoever messing with the stuff. And then you've got your reset. Okay. And then the last one is Setup Assistant. So that kind of, I believe that if you go in here, let's see, speaker setup, speaker calibration. So that's good. It'll run you through different setups here. Kind of like a wizard, different setup wizards in here. Maybe might be aging myself if you guys don't know what that is. So that's pretty much it. This video went a little bit longer than I thought it would. Oh, exit out of there. And I didn't really mention it. Did I go back out of here? Go back in here. Go back to my computer screen. But like I said, I never really, the old GUI didn't really bother me. It didn't matter. I wasn't really being entertained by it. I just use it for what I needed it to. This background, I don't know if you guys use Android Auto. It's kind of what it reminds me of, especially you go in here. These backgrounds like remind me of the options you get for Android Audio. Anyway, yeah, I told you guys I would run through the GUI for you. So there it is. I'm still tonight. I still just have it set up at 2-channel, just listening to direct mode. I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. I'm gonna get this hopefully set up over the weekend and demo some material out using just the internal amps, and then I'll hook it up to my external amps, see how that is, and hopefully get a full review done for you guys in the next couple weeks here. But anyway, thanks for clicking and watching the video. Click subscribe, comment, go ahead and comment. You know, and if you say put toxic stuff in there, if it's funny, I might even leave it there. But if it's real questions, I do read all the comments, and I do try to answer questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I do try to answer them. Other than that, thanks everybody for stopping by again. Talk to you soon. Bye.